Welcome to the channel, Passport Pals. Today, we're diving headfirst into a topic that's more awkward than a sunburn at a nudist colony. The top 10 countries where Americans are straight up to travel in 2025. Look, we all know the world can be a messy place. Sometimes it's like watching a reality TV show gone wrong, but with higher stakes. So, join us on this virtual journey as we unpack the reasons behind these travel restrictions and policies. We're talking geopolitical tensions, health scares, and maybe even a dash of good old-fashioned diplomatic standoffs. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on our travel updates. Because who wants to accidentally book a flight to a no Americans allowed zone? Not us. First up, we're heading to country A place that seems to have missed the memo about the whole globalization thing. Remember the Cold War? Yeah, some folks over there are trying to bring it back like it's a pair of vintage Levi's. Now, I'm not saying they've got missile silos disguised as Starbucks, but let's just say relations between them and the good old US of A are frostier than a penguin's backside in a blizzard. We're talking sanctions, embargoes, the whole diplomatic shebang. It's gotten so tense that stepping off a plane with a US passport is about as welcome as a vegan at a barbecue festival. The official line is all about national security and protecting their interests. But let's be real, sometimes it feels like they just don't want our fanny packs and selfie sticks cluttering up their perfectly manicured parks. But what really stings is that country A used to be on everyone's must-see list. Stunning architecture, rich history, food that could make a Michelin critic weep with joy. All off limits because someone decided to play geopolitical risk with the world map. Next, we're jetting off, not literally because, travel ban, to country B, a place so concerned with health and safety they'd probably quarantine a mosquito for sneezing. Now don't get me wrong, I'm all for a bit of hygiene, but country B takes it to a whole new level. We're talking about a place where masks are more common than sunglasses, and social distancing is considered a contact sport. And while their commitment to public health is admirable, their entry requirements are tougher to crack than the Enigma code. Think vaccine certificates, negative PCR tests, and enough paperwork to make a bureaucrat blush. They've got this whole system where they analyze your travel history like they're Sherlock Holmes investigating a murder. And if you've so much as brushed shoulders with someone who once coughed near a person who knew someone who had a mild cold 2 years ago, forget it. It's a shame really, because country B boasts some of the most breathtaking natural beauty on the planet. But until they loosen up their border restrictions, it seems like this paradise will remain just out of reach for us Americans. Hold on to your hats, folks, because things are about to get real in country C. This isn't just a case of bad blood or overzealous health regulations. We're talking full-blown, headline-grabbing, I told you so kind of events that have put this nation on lockdown. Think sudden government overthrows, protests that make Black Friday look like a picnic, and enough military presence to make you think you wandered onto a movie set. Now, I'm not one to sensationalize things, but let's just say the US State Department's travel advisory for country C is currently sitting somewhere between avoid all non-essential travel and seriously, what are you thinking? They're even advising Americans already there to consider, and I quote, departing immediately. It's a volatile situation and the last thing anyone wants is to be caught in the crossfire. So as much as it pains me to say it, maybe skip the trip to country C this year. Or, until Netflix makes a documentary about it. Alright folks, buckle up because we're about to delve into the bureaucratic labyrinth that is country D's visa process. Now I've filled out my fair share of forms in my time, but this one makes the IRS tax return look like a kindergarten art project. They've got more requirements than a Hollywood diva's writer. Proof of income, bank statements, a detailed itinerary, letters of recommendation from your grandma, you name it, they want it. And don't even think about fudging any details because these folks have eyes everywhere. It's like they're playing a game of how badly do you want to visit. And honestly, after jumping through all those hoops, most Americans are left feeling like they'd rather just stay home and watch paint dry. The thing is, country D isn't some remote island nation with nothing to offer. But with a visa process this convoluted, it's no wonder they're not exactly overrun with American tourists. Ah, country E, a land of stunning landscapes, rich history, and diplomatic frostbite? Yeah, things between them and the US are about as warm and fuzzy as a cactus right now. It's like that awkward family reunion where everyone's pretending to be civil while secretly hoping the potato salad runs out before Uncle Frank asks for seconds. See, it all boils down to a difference of opinion. A big, fat, hairy difference of opinion on things like trade agreements, human rights, and who gets to control the TV remote on a Saturday night. The official line is all about safety concerns and unpredictable circumstances, but we all know what they're really saying is stay home and mind your own business. Hold on to your tinfoil hats, folks, because we're about to enter the world of espionage, intrigue, and enough security checkpoints to make even the most seasoned traveler break a sweat. Welcome to Country F, where suspicion is a national sport, and everyone's a potential suspect until proven otherwise. Now I understand the need for safety and security, but Country F takes it to a whole new level. We're talking about a place where surveillance cameras outnumber pigeons, and bag searches are more common than Starbucks. They've got facial recognition software that can identify you from a mile away, and don't even think about cracking a joke about bombs at the airport, unless you want to experience the enhanced interrogation techniques of their very enthusiastic security personnel. Look, I'm all for keeping things safe, but when you can practically smell the paranoia in the air, it kind of takes the fun out of traveling. So, if you're planning a trip to Country F, be prepared to leave your privacy at the border. Next up, we're venturing into Country G, a place so ravaged by a recent health crisis that even the locals are hesitant to leave their houses. Now, before you start picturing hazmat suits and apocalyptic wastelands, let me assure you it's not quite that dramatic. But it's definitely not the kind of place you want to be caught without a year's supply of hand sanitizer and a hazmat suit. See, Country G had the unfortunate luck of being ground zero for a particularly nasty outbreak. It spread like wildfire, overwhelming hospitals, and forcing the government to implement some pretty extreme measures. We're talking about strict lockdowns, travel bans, and enough quarantine zones to make you think you wandered onto the set of a pandemic movie. The good news is that the situation is slowly starting to improve. Fasten your seatbelts, folks, because we're about to enter the turbulent world of Country H, a nation where political instability is practically a national sport. Imagine a country where governments change more often than the Kardashians' hair color, and you'll have a pretty good idea of what we're dealing with here. One minute there's a democratically elected government promising peace and prosperity, the next, there's a military coup, and everyone's scrambling for cover. Now I'm all for a good political debate, but when things escalate to the point where tanks are rolling down the streets and curfews are being imposed, it's probably best to steer clear. The US State Department certainly seems to think so, issuing a travel warning that's about as subtle as a brick to the face. So, unless you're a war correspondent with a death wish, I'd recommend postponing that trip to Country H. Welcome to Country 1, a nation that's been bitten by the new rules bug. You know, the kind of bug that makes them wake up one morning and decide to rewrite the entire rulebook on international travel, just for the fun of it. Now I'm all for a bit of spontaneity, but this is next level stuff. We're talking about visa requirements that change more often than the weather, border closures that seem to happen overnight, and enough bureaucratic red tape to make your head spin. It's like trying to navigate a maze that's constantly shifting and rearranging itself. One day you might be able to waltz right in with a smile and a wave, the next you'll be stuck in immigration purgatory, trying to explain to a stone-faced official why your great-aunt's cousin's dog walker should be considered a legitimate reason for travel. So, if you're planning a trip to Country 1, be prepared for the unexpected. Last but not least, we arrive at Country J, a nation shrouded in mystery, intrigue, and more than a few travel warnings. Now, I'm not one to judge a book by its cover, but let's just say, Country J's cover is looking a little worse for wear. We're talking about a place where rumors of unrest, crime, and general instability run rampant. The kind of place where even seasoned travelers think twice before venturing out after dark. Now, to be fair, a lot of these rumors are just that, rumors. But as the old saying goes, where there's smoke, there's usually a fire, or at least a smoldering ember of concern. So, before you write it off as a no-go zone, do your research, talk to people who've actually been there, and decide for yourself whether the risks outweigh the rewards. And there you have it, folks, the top 10 countries where Americans are currently persona non grata. It's a wild world out there, full of political drama, health scares, and enough bureaucratic hurdles to make even the most seasoned traveler reconsider their life choices. But hey, don't despair. There are still plenty of amazing destinations out there that are more than happy to welcome you with open arms and hopefully minimal paperwork. So keep exploring, keep dreaming, and most importantly keep those passports handy. Safe journeys everyone.